Cool looking headphones, but how do they sound? Let's check them out. Dave Taylor here, and I'm checking out these. These are the Master and Dynamic MH40W wireless second generation headphones. Now, let me start right out by saying 7 years ago, I reviewed these. And these are the first generation of the MH40. And you can see they look pretty similar. So this is a, sort of upgrade to the design and feature set. And in fact, here in this close-up, you can see the old one is characterized by having the stem go straight into the headpiece, whereas on the newer unit, it actually has a separate piece or post sticking out. So the design they've upgraded. I'll just put these aside. We'll talk about the comparison as we go. But let me tell you that these feature 40mm neodymium and titanium drivers giving you 20 to 20,000 hertz frequency response, and they are upgraded to the latest Bluetooth 5.2 protocol, which gives you better range and better connectivity. They feature AAC and aptX adaptive up to 24-bit or 48 kilohertz. And you can use them USB-C high res, again, 24-bit, 48 kilohertz. So lots of options. In fact, there's also an option where you can plug them in via a 3.5mm wired jack. So if you prefer, you can just use them as wired headphones and not do the Bluetooth at all. Kind of like Bluetooth. It features also dual microphone array with sound reproduction that gives you a lowering of any wind noise. So if you're in an outdoor environment and it's windy and you're talking to someone on these headphones, it will actually lower that background sound. I am not a huge fan of talking on a phone when I'm on headphones, but we'll do a quick demo and you'll be able to hear what that sounds like. Now, one of the other cool things is that the earpieces come off. They're easily replaceable. It's a magnet, so it's not hard to put them back. And this is actually lambskin. So it is super soft. It is incredibly comfortable. It is also not fake leather. So if you're someone who's trying to not have any animals involved in the creation of your headphones, these might not be the ones for you. But if you do get these, I will tell you they are super comfy. And let's see, one of the biggest differences between the first gen and this is much better battery life. These have 30 hours of playback, and they say a 15-minute charge will give you 6 hours of playback. So you really don't have to plug these in for very long to get a whole lot of battery out of them. Now, it comes with a bunch of stuff too. So there's USB-C to 3.5mm if you want to plug them into a device like that. There's also USB-C to USB-C, that's both for charging, and you can plug these into your computer if it's a USB-C device, or if it's not, they include a USB-C to USB-A adapter, which is super nice. And finally, there is one of these old school airplane adapters. So if you're on a long flight and they don't have 3.5mm jacks, which a lot of planes do now, but they have these old sort of clunker double jacks, then you're good to go. And it also includes a really nice canvas carrying bag. I am not a fan of those hard cases, but this is a really nice way to keep your beautiful headphones protected. So now they use something called M&D Connect. So what we're going to do is I'm going to actually get my phone running here, and I have it paired with my Apple iPhone 14 Pro, and we'll just bring up that M&D Connect app. And now you can see, let's see, the back to device. There we go. So they're connected, so that's great. And I put them on, super comfortable. And then what the app lets me do is it lets me make some changes and adjustments. So if I pick the device and go to settings, then I can look at sound. I can modify my EQ if I want. I can do something like bass cut if it's just more bass than I want. You can do bass boost on the other extreme if you like to have that super big drop. I generally keep it off so that I have it where it's nice and just sort of a flat response. You can go into your controls. The big thing I like here is that you can change your auto off timer. I tend to have that as low as possible, but it also checks your firmware version, and that's probably the most important function of this app. There are some additional features you can get here, including things like some support access and such, but I would say this is probably not an app that you'll be using a lot, but once every so often, remember to use it and make sure your firmware is up to date. Now, while I have these on, let's go to, let me get to the voice app. There we go. And now, what you're hearing now is my voice as picked up by the Master and Dynamic MH40W headphones. And it sounds pretty good, actually, considering that the microphones are here and my voice is here. So this is what someone on the other end of the line would hear. But of course, my ears are in a very noise isolated environment. And so I think that's what I'm not a big fan of when I'm on the phone with headphones like this. So let me pause this. And let me turn off that recording. And so we're back to the headphones. Okay, so now you've seen the M&D Connect, you've heard the voice, and you've seen the difference between the old gen and the new ones. And I will tell you just a couple more differences here is that the first gen has really nice drivers, but these are newer drivers. These actually, the titanium is the upgrade in the drivers for the second gen, and it has that wind reduction, it has a newer Bluetooth, it has that USB-C high-res audio option, and most importantly, it has double the battery life, but it also has, I think, a little bit cooler design. So, all right, I'm gonna put these back aside, and I wanna talk about the sound itself, because of course that's ultimately what's most important. And the first thing I'll say is they sound really good. I've always liked the Master and Dynamic headphones. In fact, the older gen, 7 years later, I still listen to them every week. So that gives you an idea of how good they are and how well they reproduce sound. These are terrific. I've been listening to some classic jazz like Duke Ellington and John Coltrane, and man, it just sounds like I'm actually in the club or in the studio with them, and that's really exceptional. So a big sound stage, a really crisp and clean sound reproduction, the sense that you're there, the presence is really good, and they're really good isolating headpieces or earpieces. So when I put them on, I really lose the sort of significant majority of all the background sound. However, they're not ANC, they're not active noise canceling. So when I've used them in a reasonably noisy environment, then I have to turn the music up to be able to try to isolate myself. So what I would love to see is I'd like to see the MH40 ANC. Maybe that's the third gen headphones, but for now, these are really terrific. I think the design is fantastic. There's sort of this steampunk sort of sensibility to it. And let me give you a quick tour of the buttons. So on the outer portion of the right ear, there's power, and there's a USB-C port, and then the two little sort of almost USB-C shaped spaces there are microphones. And then on the inner portion is volume up, volume down, and a multifunction button. I'm gonna be completely candid. The other older unit also has volume up and down. I don't think I've ever actually used it because it's so easy to just adjust that sort of stuff on your phone or on your audio source. So I don't tend to use that, but it's nice to know it's there. If you're someone who is, can get used to having your hand in different positions to get different functionality, then that's one way to do that. So really so much to like here. And, the combination of really cool design, I just think they look fantastic. The really cool design, really great audio feedback and, audio reproduction. There's a lot to like here. But we also need to talk about the price. But before we get to the price, I'm going to invite you to subscribe to my channel and go ahead and give me a thumbs up or a like. I really appreciate that. It makes a huge difference here on YouTube too. So appreciate that a lot. These are the Master and Dynamic MH40 wireless second generation headphones, and they have 5 color combinations. This happens to be my favorite, which is silver and brown, but there's 4 other combinations. They are $399 at masterdynamic.com. Some of the color combinations are also available on amazon.com if you prefer that, but I would say just buy them straight from the source. There's no reason to go to Amazon when you can get them directly from the company. So lots to like here. I think I'm going to go back to some Coltrane, so I'll have to catch you in my next video.